So it's a pleasure really to welcome our speaker today, Connie Libraniak, who is Executive Director of Keep Riverside Clean and Beautiful, or KRCB, who will be talking to us today about KRCB. She also brought along two of her project coordinators who are with us today too, Alex Rendon. Alex, if you could wave your hand. And Stephanie Silva, if you could raise your hand. And they're also going to be participating in the talk. So by way of introduction, Connie Libraniak has been director of KRCB since 2007, lived in Riverside with her husband John for 26 years in the Magnolia Center neighborhood. Connie grew up in San Gabriel Valley. She attended Cal State University, LA, where she received a bachelor's degree in business administration. Alex and Stephanie are both project coordinators with her, and they're both UC Riverside graduates. They manage KRCB programs while staying connected with volunteers in various organizations. As you also know, Temple Bethel is an Adopt a Street KRCB volunteer organization for maintaining Arlington Avenue between Indiana and Victoria. So after the talk, I would like to highlight and extend big thanks to several Temple Bethel congregants who played a leadership role in this activity, including Joan Schneider and Lynn Lipscomb, as well as a number of others who have participated. So let's see, is Lynn here? She's not here yet. I was hoping she would be here today. And I also want to extend thanks to Penny Erbach, who has been making Riverside clean and beautiful on a daily basis, really, around town. So she's sort of a one-person KRCB dynamo. So we'll go through the presentation first and then have questions afterward. And just welcome Connie, Alex, and Stephanie for being at our meeting today. And let me share your slides.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I hope my audio is coming through okay for all of you. I think we might be standing between you and lunch, so we'll jump in and get started. But the first thing I like to share when we do these guest presentations is how did KRCB get started? And back in 1992, former Mayor Ron Loveridge went to a League of Cities meeting, and he met up with somebody from Orlando, Florida. And this lady had run a program called Keep Orlando Beautiful. And he asked her about the program, and she told him, and she says, you know, you should go back to Riverside and think about starting something like this in your community, and make sure that you can do a public-private partnership so you gather not only your local government, but also bring in your small business, your private sector, your students, and everyone to join in. And that's what'll be the key to making it successful. And so that's what he did. He formed a public-private partnership through the City of Riverside Public Works Department and the Greater Riverside Chambers of Commerce. So that's how it came to be that kind of a partnership back in 1992. And he took it to the chamber because he knew he could trust a man by the name of Art Pitt, who was at the time the CEO of the Riverside Chamber. Since then, he has passed on. And as many of you know, Cindy Roth has been the CEO of the Riverside Chamber for over 30 years. She started out as a receptionist at the front desk, and to this day, she is a strong, vibrant leader in the community. And the three of us are also a part of the chamber staff and employees. A lot of times people think because we receive our funding through the City of Riverside Public Works Department that we are city employees, but we're not. We're actually chamber employees. So I like to give that little introduction because a lot of people are really unaware of what the partnership means. And it's been going strong for that amount of time. And so it brings us to a simple mission of instilling a sense of community pride by creating partnerships towards the beautification of the city. And then next slide. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie Silva. She is our newest project coordinator. She came on board in November, and we're delighted to have her. And she's going to go through a series of the slides, and then she'll turn it over to Alex. He'll do the back half, and then I'll close it out. So Stephanie, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Connie. So I'm going to start off by talking about our advisory board. The Keep Riverside Clean and Beautiful Advisory Board is comprised of Greater Riverside Chambers of Commerce, from local businesses, city government, and education who guide and volunteer for the KRCB program. And we meet on Tuesdays of even months at the Greater Riverside Chambers of Commerce. And on screen, you can see a few of our advisory board members and the organizations they are a part of. Next slide, please. So every year, KRCB presents the Beautification Awards at the Mayor's State of the City address in January. And business properties are nominated for Outstanding Landscape, Cleanliness, and Curb Appeal, and recognized in 6 categories, which you can see on screen, which are new construction with landscaping, exterior reconstruction with landscaping, maintenance of existing facilities and landscaping, historical cultural preservation, sustainable design and innovation, and small business beautification. And this year, 19 award recipients were recognized, and the new Riverside Main Library, as well as 5 great local city murals, are just some of the properties that were recognized this year. And yeah, if you guys want, you can see our video that was presented at the Mayor's State of the City address on our website on krcb.com. Next slide, please. So in January, the KRCB staff and board members conduct a judging tour throughout the city of Riverside to evaluate litter, graffiti, illegal signage, outside storage, and abandoned junk vehicles. And we tour 5 different locations with each of the 7 council wards, which include parks, schools, shopping centers, business districts, and residential neighborhoods. And results from the Community Appearance Index are used as research for prevention programs within our schools, public awareness, and KRCB beautification projects throughout the year. And Alex and I are actually going to start judging this afternoon, along with a few of our board members. And Alex has assigned 3 wards for us to judge and has assigned the board members with the other 4. Next slide, please. The Clean Campus competition is a friendly competition for public and private schools within the city of Riverside. In honor of Earth Day in the month of April, students organize beautification projects to expand their environmental awareness by caring for their school campus with litter prevention, recycling, campus beautification, and water conservation education. And we are currently working with local school districts on a way to modify it. And this year, we're calling it the Clean Campus Competition Home Edition. Next slide, please. So the Great American Cleanup is the county's largest community improvement program that kicks off every spring. And in May, Riverside engages over 1,000 volunteers across the city to take part in litter cleanups, graffiti abatement, and community greening. And in 2019, volunteers collected over 17,000 pounds of litter and removed over 120 graffiti tags. Next slide, please. Every year, over 500 volunteers participate in the Santa Ana River and City Waterways cleanup and change the appearance of the Santa Ana River watershed, Fairmont Park, Lake Tequesquite Canal, and Martha McLean and the Narrow River Trail. And in 2019, volunteers collected over 15,100 pounds of litter, debris, and green waste. Next slide, please. So KRCB recognizes organizations, local businesses, families, and individuals annually with the awards that you see on screen. And for these awards, KRCB selects individuals who exemplify leadership, teamwork, and the spirit of volunteerism. And on screen, you can see a few of last year's winners. Next slide, please. The Waterwise Landscape Makeover is an annual fundraiser that allows a homeowner in the city of Riverside to win a $10,000 Waterwise Landscape Makeover. And proceeds assist in funding beautification projects and promote environmental awareness among our youth. And the photos you see on screen are 4 out of the 13 previous winners. The first photo is from 2020, which we just finished up in December. And the middle photos are pictures of backyards, and the first and last photos are photos of front yards. And next slide, please. Okay, so now I'd like to turn it over to Alex, and he'll share the next few slides with you.
Thank you, Stephanie. So the Festival of Lights, I'm sure, is something you are all familiar with. And KRCB actually participates in this on the Friday after Thanksgiving for the switch-on ceremony. We do our best to make this a litter-free event and enjoy the lighting of the historic Mission Inn Hotel and Spa as well. We help to roll out the trash and recycling bins. We collect litter and distribute event programs with the help of over 200 volunteers every year. Next slide, please. The Public Education Program for Graffiti. This is a networking group that brings together concerned citizens, businesses, local government, school districts, and law enforcement to inform them of the economic impact of graffiti vandalism and to try to implement positive solutions. The PEP committee meets on Wednesdays of even months at the Greater Riverside Chambers of Commerce, although this past year we have been meeting over Zoom. Next slide, please. The Adostary Program, I know Dan mentioned this earlier in the meeting. This is a program that we run where groups and individuals can select a 1-mile stretch of a street to maintain 6 times a year, or for the sponsored Adopt a Street option for a $500 donation, we will partner with a local nonprofit organization called Ability Counts to maintain your adopted area. All Adopt a Street participants receive 2 signs with their name on the sign at each end of their adopted street. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to Lynn Lipscomb, who I've been working very closely with for the past few years. She goes out every month to clean your adopted street, which is very much appreciated by us in the community as well. There are currently 44 sponsored adopted streets and 112 volunteer adopted streets in the city of Riverside. Next slide, please. The Adopt an Alley program. So this is a slightly newer program that we created within the past couple years. We have a total of 9 alleyways that have been adopted in the east side of Riverside by organizations who are interested in making a lasting impact on their community. This program is actually a great example of partnerships working together toward the beautification of the city. We have ourselves, RPD, Public Works, Code Enforcement, and City Council members all involved in getting this program up and running. And it's been very much appreciated by the community members that live in the east side area because their alleyways have been beautified and become much safer as a result. We were actually awarded the 2019 Keep America Beautiful Community Improvement Award for our efforts with the Adopt an Alley program. Next slide, please. The Love Your Neighborhood program. So this is our newest program that we started in response to the coronavirus. It's a volunteer program designed for families to beautify their neighborhoods. It allows volunteers to borrow supplies from us, KRCB, on a day and time that is convenient for them. And they pick up litter, remove debris from storm drains. They can remove small graffiti tags and remove tape from street poles along their street or around their neighborhood, as long as they follow our safety requirements. This past summer, volunteers collected over 8,500 pounds of litter all throughout their neighborhoods in the city of Riverside. And we were awarded the 2020 Keep America Beautiful Innovation Award for the Love Your Neighborhood program. Next slide, please. Now, our 7 ward projects. This is our bread and butter, as we like to say. We recruit over 200 volunteers each month for beautification projects within the city of Riverside. So volunteers can engage in litter and illegal dump cleanups, graffiti eradication, storm drain cleanups, and community greening projects. We try to do at least one cleanup in each city council ward and generally collect around 2,000 to 5,000 pounds of litter at each project. Next slide, please. So these are some of the results from our 2019-2020 fiscal year. Our fiscal year runs from July 1st to June 30th of the following year. So these results are from July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020. Despite being on pause for a couple months within 2020, you'll notice on the left-hand column, we still managed to get over 5,300 volunteers in all of our different events and over 11,200 volunteer hours in our last fiscal year. Next slide, please. And here you'll notice on the left-hand column, during that same period of time, we collected over 72,000 pounds of litter, which amounts to about 36 tons of litter collected within the city of Riverside. And this was all done throughout 98 different beautification project sites. So we went to 98 different locations within the city and had volunteers pick up litter in all of those areas. Next slide, please. Now I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Connie.
Thank you, Alex. As most of you know, we decided to call this slide Perseverance, and we wanted to show you the faces of all the many people that came out during the 2020 year. We were paused from March until summertime, and then we were able to do what we call the soft reopen. And there is where we did the Love Your Neighborhood and small groups and people who lived under the same households. And it was great to see this because in that short amount of time, from probably the summer through November 21st, right before the holidays set in, we were able to get over 2,000 volunteers to come out, and they collected over 43,000 pounds. And we wanted to share this with the community. We put it on our social media, but just to show you that spirit of volunteerism that was still alive and well, even though we had to persevere through so many challenges. And people were wonderful. They kept very safe. We did the protocols with obviously the masks, and we took everybody's temp, and everybody was so respectful of keeping their distance while we were outside. So we love the fact that we were able to pull this off, and yet everybody still respected everything that was going on in the community. Next slide, Dan. And this is just how we'd like to thank you and close it out. Here is some contact information. If you enjoy Facebook and Instagram, follow us. We post every Friday something that's going on. And we were on a pause through the holidays. Actually, our last project, as I mentioned, was November 21st. And they wanted us to slow it down. So we paused it right up until actually right now, this week. And we just got green lights from Public Works that we're going to be able to do a soft reopen again on March 1st with the Love Your Neighborhood program. So we'll hit the ground running because I know that both Alex and Stephanie are pretty energetic about getting started again. But again, we just want to thank you. And I remember Joan Schneider. She was, I think, one of the first people that had contacted KRCB for your Temple Bethel Adopt a Street. And as Alex mentioned, we just like to give a shout out to Lynn. She doesn't like to be recognized, but she's in here frequently, just collecting her supplies and doing such good work for the community. And we thank all of you. We thank all of you for being a part of this program and a part of caring for the community, because it really is kind of special seeing all the different families and the youth come out. I will tell you, when they get a hands-on project like this on a Saturday morning, and many of them are out there earning their community service hours for school, even though this year is a little different, you really watch them get into this because they're doing it themselves for changing the appearance of things. And I keep in mind that this is not always something that they learn in a classroom setting. So we're so grateful that this program continues on, and everybody's been very patient and respectful. And like I said, we look forward to a soft reopen on March 1st and hoping that 21 is happy, healthy, and safe for everyone. So we want to thank you very much for having us today. And I think we're going to probably need to hop off because we do need to take care of that community appearance index that Stephanie and Alex mentioned. So thank you again, and we appreciate. But I will happy to take any questions if you have them.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. I see Lynn Lipscomb to join the meeting, so that's great. Kevin.
I think Margie Aiken. Well, it's not Margie, but
actually,
if you had a question.
This is Kevin Aiken, actually using Margie's cell phone. I've done some with the Temple Bethel cleanup on Arlington, although it's frankly, my wife and I haven't gone out at all for almost a year for obvious reasons. I've also been involved in a cleanup project on Tequesquite and Brockton for the Save Our Chinatown Committee. Now, we had a problem there in that although we did some, we were unable to report it because for a while there, we couldn't, we had the same problem with Temple Bethel, actually. For a while there, we were unable to report stuff using the usual thing on the over the internet. I don't know why or for how long, but we did run into a problem there. Also for a while, I believe that your office was shut down at hours we didn't expect it to be shut down during the height of the pandemic. And although we had some people out as individuals, or in a couple of cases as a couple, doing some work, we weren't able to report it. So it's probably not worth attempting to catch up on that. But are we going to pretty well reliably be able to report things online and by phone from now on?
Alex, you want to take that one? Because I know you and Lynn have been working pretty well with that. So hold on and we'll get that question answered for you.
Yeah, so we actually have, in order to make things easier and safer for everyone, we've gone with a paperless option to report online. And if you want, I can send out that link as well. But it's simple. You just click the link and then you'd fill out the information. It would say your name, where it is that you cleaned, and how many bags of litter you collected, for example. You click submit, and then that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Would you like me to report ones from months past that were not reported? I think.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. If you want to go ahead and report those, we will accept them. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Aiken, what we'll do is we will, Alex will email to Dan the report form, and then you can go ahead and take it from there. I do have a question in the chat box. Who is responsible for trash on the freeway on and off ramps? And that is good old Caltrans, the Department of Transportation. That is that's a highly dangerous area for KRCB volunteers to go on. So that is the reason why we don't venture out into the ramps and those areas, the ramps and the whole freeway. We are District 8, and feel free to give Public Works a call at the 311 info hotline anytime you wish, to remind them that they need to give a call to Caltrans and the District 8. It's very simple to get an encroachment permit. It is something that they do all the time, but there's so many safety requirements that go along with cleaning freeways and the ramps that is why they take it on. We've actually attempted to do a few things with that, but we are still in the process of working out partnerships. I would love I personally would love to know that we could make this all happen. but they keep changing leadership too at Caltrans. So every time we get started with somebody, they retire or they get promoted, and then we feel like we're back at square one. But thanks for that question, because that's Caltrans, in case anybody was wondering. So Rosalind said, Judith, I think it's the state. So that's correct. Anything else before we close out?
Judy Triber, did you have a
No,
question?
that was my question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
So I actually had one other picture I wanted to share, which will get back to thanking people at the temple who have participated. Let's see if I can get this. It's down below here. So, Joan, thank you for emailing this picture to me. And I again wanted to extend thanks to you, Joan, Lynn, and others who participated in the Adopt a Street project on Arlington Avenue. And Joan found this picture and emailed it to me yesterday, taken on a early work day back in roughly 2012. And there's Layla Price in the foreground participating there with 2 other volunteers. You can see we're looking up Arlington. This is the California School for the Deaf in the background, and Target's over on this side. So again, wanted to thank Penny Urbach for her efforts around town and helping keep Riverside clean and beautiful. Thank you so much. So now I'm going
Someone
to...
in the chat, Dan, had a question about when you started. Joan, I just remember when I started 13 years ago that I think you and I had an email relationship going on to get it started. So I'm not quite sure if it was prior to 2007, but I know that it's been a long time. And I really want to emphasize the thanks, because Arlington Avenue is not an easy street to clean up. It's a very busy one. It can be dangerous. So please be safe and be careful, as I know that people in the past, especially Lynn is, and we just really appreciate it. But I'll tell you, when she takes on Arlington, wow, we're just so grateful to her. And she always comes in and she goes, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. But we really appreciate her.
Can I have to say one more thing?
Sure.
My husband and I, we went out and bought trash, like picker-upper things, and we just walk around our whole neighborhood. It's about a 2-mile walk, and we pick up trash. And anybody can do that around their neighborhood. You just have to go buy those things at Harbor Freight.
Yeah, that's really, really wonderful of you. Thanks.
But everybody can do that, you know. Mhm.
Thank you,
Okay.
Judith. Yes, that's why we started the Love Your Neighborhood program.
Other questions? We have plenty of time. So
Let
Kevin.
and she can get paid for it.
A comment rather than a question.
Oh,
We've been unable to see it for the last year, but we still have Lynn's portrait and certificate and an award for being the #1 trash picker upper in the city. We still have them displayed in the temple foyer, and one of these days we'll be able to get back in and have a look at it again. So
yeah.
Very good.
We all look forward to those days. We
Yeah.
certainly do. But yeah, Lynn was she's always been one of our all-stars. She's on the phone right now. She's muted, and notice she's not saying anything. I always try to give her these kudos, and she's like, Connie, don't worry about it. Just make sure I have plenty of stuff. She's just great.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, if not, I'm actually going to stop.